They're not coming. They're already inside. State-backed AI attacks. Deepfake CEOs stealing millions. Ransomware hitting hospitals, cities, even cloud data centers. And while most businesses are busy upgrading their tech, they've forgotten to secure it. That's why cybersecurity is no longer a department. It's survival. And the companies who get this now will own the next decade. I've analyzed the latest threat intelligence from Mandiant, NSA, and MITRE, cross-referenced it with breach disclosures, AI red teaming results, and insider memos from Fortune 100 CISOs. What we're looking at isn't just a spike in attacks, it's a systemic shift. Cybercrime has gone autonomous. Nation-states are embedding 0 days in firmware. And your password reset email? It could be synthetic from end to end. If you're founder, exec, or IT lead, this isn't optional anymore. This is your red alert. Here's what no one's talking about. Cybersecurity used to be about firewalls, antivirus, and employee training modules. Today, it's a real-time war with generative AI acting as both attacker and defender. Let's break it down. In Q2 alone, phishing-as-a-service kits powered by LLMs rose by 237%. These aren't clumsy typo-ridden emails anymore. These are perfectly crafted social engineering scripts that even security pros struggle to detect. One Fortune 500 CEO got deepfaked in video, authorizing a $25 million wire. The accounting team verified his voice, his face, his calendar, and still got breached. And the attackers? They didn't code anything. They just prompted ChatGPT clones trained on leaked org charts, corporate lingo, and public interviews. That's the new normal. But here's where it gets even more dangerous. AI isn't just being used to craft attacks, it's automating them. Custom malware is now being written, tested, and evolved inside GPT-like sandboxes. Attackers are running thousands of simulations per minute to bypass your security stack, then deploying polymorphic payloads that rewrite themselves on execution. This is why your 2022 playbook is useless. Legacy rules-based systems can't keep up with models that learn how to break them in real time. So what can you do? The smartest companies are flipping the script. They're using AI-native defense layers. LLMs trained not on static threat signatures, but on behavioral anomalies, synthetic attack simulations, and zero-trust telemetry across the full stack. Think a digital immune system, adaptive, proactive, and brutally fast. And this shift isn't just for the tech elite. We're seeing mid-size firms integrating vector-based anomaly detection into email, access control, and even customer support. Because in 2025, it's not about if you'll be targeted. It's about whether your system can fight back, autonomously. Now, stay with me, because this connects directly to something even bigger. The rise of nation-state-grade malware in the commercial supply chain. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. The lines between state-sponsored cyber warfare and criminal operations are vanishing. Nation-state-level tools, once guarded by intelligence agencies, are leaking into black markets, getting retooled by ransomware gangs, and injected straight into your software supply chain. Case in point, the SolarWinds breach? That was just the dress rehearsal. Now we're seeing modular malware like Black Mamba that uses AI to dynamically alter its behavior based on the environment it lands in. It detects what EDR system you're running, adjusts its execution path, and then writes new code in real time to evade detection. This isn't malware. It's malware as an LLM. And here's the terrifying part. The delivery vectors are no longer brute force. They're subtle, strategic, and often invisible, weaponized through legitimate third-party vendors, signed drivers, even open-source dependencies. Your CI/CD pipeline, your ticketing system, they're not just operational tools, they're attack surfaces now. So what are the defense teams doing? The best are deploying AI-driven SBOM monitoring, code provenance tracking, and real-time sandbox validation before anything touches production. They're treating every update, every dependency, every API call as a potential zero-day delivery mechanism. And it's working, at least for the ones who saw this coming. Because here's the reality. You're not securing a network anymore. You're securing a constantly shifting mesh of AI-enhanced threat vectors, moving faster than any human team can react. Now, here's where it gets even more critical. The next attack won't just steal your data. It'll poison your model. Here's what nobody's talking about, because most people still don't understand it. AI model poisoning is already happening. Not hypothetically, not in labs. In production, threat actors are targeting the training data itself. They're injecting malicious samples into open datasets, or slipping manipulated outputs into feedback loops of reinforcement learning systems. Why? Because corrupting the model is more powerful than bypassing it. Here's what it looks like in practice. Let's say you're running an LLM that summarizes financial reports. An attacker feeds in subtle but biased data, over and over. The model gradually starts skewing its language. Underperforming becomes stable. Risk becomes volatility. Now imagine that model is guiding investment decisions across hedge funds. You don't just have an error. You have a systemic, invisible, cascading failure, driven by poisoned intelligence. And now apply that to security. Imagine your SOC uses AI to prioritize alerts. A poisoned model could flag dummy traffic as high priority, draining your resources, while letting actual threats glide in below the noise floor. This isn't theoretical. MITRE and OpenAI both confirmed early-stage poisoning campaigns in 2024. And just last quarter, a Tier 1 telco had to rebuild its anomaly detection model from scratch, after discovering silent corruption seeded through public feedback. So what can you do? The best teams are implementing adversarial validation, dataset provenance tagging, and continuous red teaming against their own AI pipelines. They're assuming every model input is potentially adversarial, and every output is audited for drift, bias, and blind spots. Because here's the new reality. Your AI isn't just a tool. It's a target, and if you don't defend its brain, you've already lost the war. Here's where it gets even more dangerous. Quantum decryption isn't a 2030 problem anymore. The latest benchmarks from IBM's Heron processor and China's 100-qubit Sekongzi chips show a clear trend. We're accelerating toward practical quantum attacks, faster than most CISOs are willing to admit. Here's what's really happening. In private simulations, certain lattice-based cryptosystems, long believed to be quantum safe, are now showing cracks under hybrid classical quantum stress tests. Even more alarming, NIST's post-quantum standardization has already faced backpedals. The CK algorithm? Broken in under an hour using a single-core CPU. And if you think your RSA 2048 perimeter buys you time, think again. Because harvesting is already underway. State-level actors are quietly stockpiling encrypted traffic today. So when Q-Day hits, they decrypt at scale. This is known as store now, decrypt later. And it doesn't just apply to governments. Tech companies, data brokers, even AI competitors could unlock years of your user data, R&D, internal strategy, instantly. Now, here's the kicker. AI makes it worse. LLMs are accelerating quantum chemistry research, error correction protocols, and QPU design. The same tech that powers ChatGPT is helping build its eventual destroyer. So what do the winners do? They're moving to hybrid encryption now, deploying lattice-based keys in parallel with classical ones, segmenting long-term data, shortening key lifespans, and isolating AI systems from anything they wouldn't want public, ever. Because the encryption we used to trust for decades? it might have less than 5 years left. Here's the part nobody's ready for. Insider threats have always been dangerous, but with generative AI, they've become almost undetectable. No malware, no exploits, just smart people using AI to bend internal systems from the inside. Let me show you how it works. A mid-level employee at a healthcare firm uses an LLM to draft perfect vendor spoof emails, mimicking tone, referencing internal project names, even predicting approval workflows based on past memos. No phishing link, just a PDF and a fake invoice, approved automatically by the ERP system. Another case? An intern at a fintech startup feeds raw support transcripts into ChatGPT to improve customer service. But buried in the prompts are 600+ unique session tokens, API credentials, and private wallet keys, now exposed to OpenAI's memory pool. These aren't hackers. They're employees. And in 2025, that's the new breach vector. Now combine that with toolchains like AutoGPT or open-source agents running locally. You get automated credential harvesting, contract tampering, even AI-generated documentation that subtly alters compliance parameters, without a single red flag in your SIEM. This is Insider Threat 2.0. And the detection surface? It's nearly invisible unless you're embedding AI risk monitoring directly into your workflows. So what are smart companies doing? They're sandboxing AI use. Every prompt goes through a red teaming layer, flagging for data leakage, jailbreak attempts, or covert instructions. They're using behavioral AI to baseline insider activity. Not just keystrokes or logins, but linguistic anomalies, document drift, and prompt intent analysis. Because in the era of generative access, the biggest threat isn't malware, it's misused capability. And if your internal tools can't tell the difference between innovation and exfiltration, you're already exposed. Here's where it gets even more dangerous. AI isn't just generating text anymore. It's manipulating physical reality, or at least how we perceive it. And nowhere is that more alarming than in video surveillance. What happens when the security camera feed you're watching isn't real? Deep fake injection attacks are already here. Using GANs and real-time video synthesis, threat actors can now overwrite live CCTV footage with fabricated scenes. Clean hallways, empty server rooms, non-existent security personnel. Think it's sci-fi. It's not. In 2024, a Chinese research team demonstrated an attack where they fed altered video into an AI-based surveillance system and completely bypassed motion detection while walking directly into the data center. The AI believed what it saw, because what it saw was manipulated at the pixel level, frame by frame, using adversarial overlays invisible to the human eye. Now scale that up. Delivery docks, server cages, cache vaults. With generative models trained on just a few hours of camera footage, attackers can simulate background noise, ambient lighting, even shadows, so the altered feed looks perfectly real, even to a trained analyst. And it gets worse. Some systems now use AI to interpret video, flagging anomalies, triggering alerts, even auto-locking doors. But what if the model itself is tricked by adversarial prompts embedded in physical space? QR codes, logos, or even clothing patterns designed to scramble object detection. You're not just blind. You're misled by your own security system. So how are leading orgs responding? They're separating source feeds from interpreted feeds, running parallel models with adversarial checking layers, embedding physical watermarking, infrared patterns invisible to generative models but recognizable by secure vision models. And perhaps most critically, they're air-gapping critical surveillance systems from LLM-integrated tool chains. Because once your cameras start understanding what they see, they can also be convinced to lie. Here's what no one's telling you. The next frontier of AI cyberattacks isn't digital. It's logistical. Threat actors are already weaponizing large language models to compromise global supply chains, without writing a single line of malware. Here's how it works. Instead of breaching firewalls, attackers now use AI agents to impersonate vendors, draft hyper-realistic invoices, simulate supplier interactions, and even negotiate fake shipments. These are full-spectrum deception campaigns, run end-to-end by autonomous systems. In 2025, a shipping company in Rotterdam fell victim to a breach that looked nothing like a cyber attack. No ransomware, no phishing links, just a series of perfectly timed orders, emails, and delivery instructions, generated by an LLM trained on internal contract language and procurement workflows scraped from leaked data. By the time the fraud was caught, $6.4 million in inventory had been rerouted to an offshore address. The kicker? The entire operation was executed by a synthetic supply chain agent, prompted, refined, and iterated entirely through a loop of autonomous GPT 4.5 agents. This isn't theoretical. Enterprise email threads, PDF invoices, and Slack integrations are now all vulnerable inputs for these agents. And since most companies still lack robust LLM usage policies, AI models get fine-tuned on live operational data, effectively training the attacker how to breach you, using your own comms. But the real risk? Once inside your procurement workflow, AI agents don't need persistence. They just need one successful transaction to exfiltrate value. That's why CISOs are deploying behavioral tripwires inside ERP and procurement systems, tracking anomaly clusters, cross-referencing supplier metadata, and using adversarial AI to spot synthetically generated purchase behavior. Some firms are even running LLM honeypots, fake vendors seeded with synthetic data to bait and trace autonomous agent behavior back to origin IPs. Because in the era of AI, supply chain risk isn't just physical or financial, it's synthetic, persistent, and increasingly invisible. Let's pull back the curtain. In 2020, disinformation was spammy Facebook memes and troll farms. In 2024, it's synthetic newsrooms, AI-powered influencers, and deepfake pundits, running 24/7 ops with zero human staff. The new threat isn't fake news. It's plausible news, generated at scale, tuned for every demographic, and deployed in real time by autonomous systems trained to manipulate perception like a psyop. And it's already happening. Earlier this year, analysts at Graphica uncovered a disinfo campaign targeting Southeast Asia, where thousands of pro-government articles, comment threads, and expert opinion columns were published, none of which were written by real people. Every voice, every quote, every expert, AI generated. One AI model ran the writing. Another handled tone adaptation. A third simulated engagement patterns. When to post, how to escalate, which narratives were gaining traction. This isn't just propaganda. It's perception warfare. And the vectors are expanding fast. LLMs fine-tuned on historical media tone can now simulate entire editorial styles. Open-source models like Llama 3 and Mistral are being quietly modified to emulate regional dialects, insider jargon, even emotional cadence, so their outputs sound local, trusted, and real. Meanwhile, deepfake video generation is now plug-and-play. Tools like HeyGen and Synthesia are letting anyone spin up credible avatars with custom voice, accent, and micro-expressions. That viral clip of a whistleblower leak could be real, could be fully synthetic, and you'll never know the difference. Governments are scrambling to respond. But legacy counter-disinfo playbooks are useless here. That's why the next evolution in cyber defense isn't detection. It's preemption. Fact-checking can't keep up with AI scale lies. Content moderation can't detect context collapse in real time. And watermarking? Most open-source models don't even support it. Here's how top intel firms are fighting back. and what you can do now to survive the AI information war. Here's your rapid-fire reality check. Nation-states are deploying LLMs to run full-spectrum propaganda ops. Autonomous influence bots are rewriting what we see, trust, and believe faster than humans can detect. Deepfakes are no longer edge cases. They're weapons, and the next election could be decided by a hallucination. But here's the flip side. The winners in this new era will be those who harden their info ecosystems now. Cybersecurity isn't just about firewalls anymore. It's about narrative integrity, cognitive security, and adversarial AI defense. Smart orgs are already running red team simulations with generative models, training detection systems not just on known threats, but on probabilistic deception. They're deploying LLM fingerprinting, real-time provenance tracking, and zero-trust media protocols. Because in 2025, trust will be the most valuable infrastructure on the planet. CyberShield Hub exists to give you that edge. Before the headlines, before the breach. In our next breakdown, I'll show you how the rise of autonomous AI agents is quietly reshaping nation-state cyber strategy, and why your defense stack may already be obsolete. But first, I want to hear from you. Are your systems ready for AI-powered information warfare? Or are you still thinking in terms of 2016? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe, because what's coming next isn't just technical, it's existential.